Hello, everybody, developers. Welcome to Envelop YouTube channel. It is Tuesday, November 15th, and this is a main session dedicated to another great partnership of Envelop protocol with the great guys from Australia. They are Peak Finance and NFT Apparel. So I'm Eugene Crypto MC. I'm be hosting today as always. So let me first announce our guests. They are Tristan Hazelwood and Ben Gior. They are co-founders of Peak Finance DAO and NFT Apparel. So guys, welcome to IMA. Thanks for joining our partnership. First of all, you may find the link in the description of this video to our blog post on Medium to figure out what is the main context of today's IMA, what is the main goal of the partnership, and we'll be discussing the details of the partnership, and of course, the co-founder and CEO of Envelop Protocol, Alex Schroeder-Falcon. Alex, welcome to the IMA. First, guys, we need to realize what is the main goal of the partnership. How did you come up with the partnership? What are the main values you have already brought to the space, and how this partnership will influence all the Web3 ecosystem? We've got a quite sophisticated structure here: Peak Finance DAO, NFT Apparel, Metis as a layer, Envelop with the protocol, a lot of things. So I hope we will clarify all the details. First of all, let's start with your story in about free space and what are Peak Finance DAO, what are NFT Apparel, what have you already done, what did you, how do you enrich the Web3 ecosystem? Both of you, for question come to Tristan, and Tristan, if you need to, you may involve Ben as the co-partner in answering. So Tristan, tell us more about Peak Finance and NFT Apparel.
Sure thing. Well, thanks for having us on, Eugene. We're really excited to be partnering up with Envelop. So Peak Finance DAO is essentially a fork of Tomb Finance, which is basically a seigniorage protocol. So the premise there is that you have a DeFi protocol that presents incentive structures to regulate the value of an algorithmically pegged token. So we chose Metis primarily because we still believe that the layer 2 narrative is dormant. We've looked at the other layer 2s that are out there, looking at Arbitrum, Optimism, which Metis itself is a fork of Optimism, except for they're taking quite more of a nuanced direction in terms of trying to decentralize their layer 2 with things like multiple sequences, because as an optimistic rollup works is that, it batches transactions and sends it to the first layer, and it basically leverages the security of that layer. They've got decentralized autonomous companies, which is kind of like an evolution from DAOs. So for that, I think it's a really key piece of infrastructure going into Web3. As Web3 continues to evolve, we're going to need some sort of way for people to, participate in DAOs that align with their DACs, rather, that align with their own values and the various permissioned and unpermissioned layers. So that does bring us to Peak Finance. So we recognized the potential of Metis and decided, well, let's actually go ahead and look at, an algorithmically pegged token. So why did we do this? We looked at it under the premise of seigniorage principles. So if you understand how money works in today's system with money, modern monetary theory and the like, is that, basically central bankers can just press a button and print money out of thin air. That money that gets printed out of thin air gets used to buy, bonds, commodities, equities. So, arguably in a lot of cases, they're printing money to basically boost theirs and their friends' bags. So not entirely an equitable way to go about it. So we looked at something like a seigniorage protocol, and we thought, well, in the process of money creation, or trying to create value, that the participants and the people that are involved in a particular ecosystem should be the beneficiaries of that. So we have the Peak token, that's the algorithmically pegged token. We have the Pro token, or the Prometheus token, that's the share token, whereby you go and stake that in order to get a share of the Peak emissions. So these emissions are dictated by demand. So the protocol recognizes demand and says, okay, if you have more Metis tokens in a liquidity pool than the Metis tokens, then in order for us to reduce the value of Peak to keep it on par with the token that it's pegged to, they need to print more Peak. So that's effectively how that works on a really basic fundamental level. But we then sort of took a few more steps back and went, okay, well, let's recognize what's actually happened when similar protocols have come along. Because as we mentioned, it's a fork. So many have gone and forked. Many have participated in that degen era of the, just copy and pasting a fork. And we realized there wasn't a lot of trust in the people that come along with these particular protocols. They're just anonymous devs. You don't even know their first name, what their backgrounds are. So we put ourselves forward and we doxed ourselves, so people know who we are. So to establish that level of trust. And now we're looking towards, say, Envelop. We think that the future is very much NFTs. If depending upon how you look at the landscape, we very much see things transitioning from a market whereby people will say have to set up a centralized exchange account and purchase ERC20 tokens. My thesis, and a lot of the thesis of the team that work alongside me, is that we actually believe that NFTs are going to become that gateway. We look at things, say, in the previous bull market, whereby, NFTs as a search term outpaced Bitcoin. So people were more interested in terms of adoption. So you mentioned like what our values are, and we are very much predicated on the 3 A's. So that's access, application, and adoption. So if you can improve the means by which an investor can access and reduce the barriers to entry, then you're going to be able to onboard easier. So things such as using credit cards to directly purchase an NFT, and then that of course facilitates adoption as the end goal. And what Envelop brings to the table is application. It brings a protocol whereby we can go, okay, awesome. Like we've been talking about how we're on Andromeda and we're using it as a layer 2, but in a sense, for all our future projects, Envelop's basically going to be like our layer 1 in a way. And then everything we build on top of that is going to be like our layer 2. So that's when we're looking at things like, okay, well, what happens if we actually get users to wrap up their collateral, whether it be, from Peak Finance, whether it be the NFTA token, once that's released, and we start to do things such as, putting time locks on, rewarding people for the amount of time they choose to lock their collateral, the amount of collateral they put in. And that's where we're looking at one of our core sort of value propositions within Peak, and that's the summit. So the summit is, of course, what we call the summit. It's otherwise known as the boardroom for tomb forks, but that's where you would stake a token. And when the peg is greater than 1.05 and the value of that token needs to be regulated, then it prints to encourage selling, to reduce the peg, to keep it on parity. So we're looking at it going, well, what happens if we start to use NFTs? What if we start to introduce these time lock and collateral features in order to stake and reward users for doing that? So that's ultimately what we've been doing with Peak Finance on that level. And then, as you mentioned, we've got a lot of moving parts. We've also got NFT Apparel, which initially started out purely with a very simple proposition. Users that stake NFTs can then apply those images onto a piece of merchandise. And that we use the NFT as a gateway to prevent things like, because anyone can just go to Redbubble or any other print-on-demand site. They can do that and they can just upload a JPEG, but they don't own that image. Whereas NFTs gives the opportunity for the person that actually owns the underlying image to then go, okay, only I can basically create designs on particular pieces of merchandise. We go a step further with NFT Apparel, and we also want to do implement profit sharing with that. So, the person that stakes the NFT sets the price, a percentage above our supplier's wholesale price. After we settle the supplier and ship and the logistics costs, we're left with a net profit. With that net profit, a percentage between 20 to 25% goes back to the NFT staker, who effectively owns the design that's being applied to a piece of merchandise. And then, of course, we want to reward those that have a stake in the actual protocol itself. So those that have a stake in the NFTA token can then go ahead and, receive a portion of the profits as well. And the amount staked determines how much the NFT staker can get. So we've got a lot of different moving parts on the NFT Apparel. And recently, so, in terms of products available there, we have a Web 2 storefront, which currently is, you just go upload a JPEG. So it's effectively a placeholder. future. But we've also got an NFT marketplace, which is multi-chain. So we're on Andromeda, Avalanche, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, and Ethereum currently. We're looking at a couple of others as well that we're going to continue to branch out to. And then we've got our minting as a service, which is, again, this is where we find there's going to be quite a lot of overlap with what we can do with Envelop, because Envelop effectively has a minting as a service like product, whereby you can create a generic NFT, mint it, and then supply the collateral. The difference would be that we would seek to integrate like a function whereby artists and creators can actually deploy a minting dApp. So something that would otherwise take, maybe a few days to a week to do a bit of coding, users can just go on there, upload their entire collection, click a few buttons, and deploy their NFT collection. So then by us taking that process and integrating it in with, Envelop, which is very much like I mentioned, like our layer one in a sense, in terms of how we're going to approach it, from a technical perspective, is that a user can then create a collection that then gets wrapped, and then we're able to prompt them, or based on whatever the particular proposition is, we can actually get them to lock collateral as they're creating a collection. So users no longer are just printing NFTs that effectively have little value or no value beyond the actual aesthetics and the hype around it. We can actually go, well, let's create collections that have an initial collateral value to them, so that you've got an implicit floor price from that. So there are a lot of different things that we're looking forward to being able to do with alongside Envelop, with all our different protocols from Peak right on through to NFTA, which really is is what I guess the brand of the entire ecosystem is, the A being our core fundamental values, access, adoption, application, and conveniently apparel as well. So yeah, very exciing.
Well, nice speech. Congratulations. I love it.
So that was the short version.
I love Formula 3A, and I would love to ask you who's that genius, who's this system architecture of the product, who sees all the construction together, all the moving parts are like the phrase, and how you guys, if you understand how difficult it is. And please, guys, and the chat, we've already got some good guys, some good viewers, and they already greeted us. So please ask your questions in the live chat. We will bring to them after we will have finished our official starting part. And so, Ben, would you like to add something for this brilliant pitch of Tristan?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm more than happy to jump in and have a little chat about NFTA. So like Tristan said, NFTA sort of started originally as a basic idea of, staking an NFT, make money sort of thing. But it's really evolved now. We're an NFT ecosystem that sort of aims to revolutionize the way e-commerce works in total by providing, this Web3 SaaS platform for NFT monetization and merchandising. So, we're supplying print-on-demand companies and fashion brands with access to these NFT digital artworks and redistribution rights and, all that sort of stuff that's happening in the background, not just for fashion, not just for print-on-demand, not just for doing these sorts of things, but we're actually supplying these NFT stagnant images that, they just exist. They're not doing anything. There's only a market for resale currently, basically. We're providing these images as basically what you'd call, stock imagery. So this stock imagery is going to be available for anyone around the world to use on things like website design, whether it be branding they want to use it on. Apparel's just the beginning. There's pretty much no end to what we're going to end up being able to apply these actual digital artworks to. That brings us to where we're going to use Envelop, sorry. We've got plans to move into the metaverse as well. A lot of our products are going to be metaverse wearable. So basically what that means is when a physical brand so you buy a physical t-shirt with an NFT on it, NFTA ships that out to your house, but you also get a token that is compliant within a particular metaverse. You can put that onto your avatar, you can wear that around. So we're going to include, wrapping within that sense as well. We're going to be able to include collateral within these games. So, wrapping these actual avatars with collateral as well. There's so much that we're planning on doing for NFTA. So yeah, apparel's just the start. There's pretty much no limit to what we want to do with this, and I believe Envelop's going to be a key part to us making all of this happen.
Well, thank you, Ben and Tristan. By the way, we have got, if I'm not mistaken, an ambassador of Metis DAO. His nick is SW9 Sick, and he's also in our chat. Thank you, thank you, Mr. for retweeting our tweets and the promote of this IMA, because Metis is also the stakeholder of this IMA. And he asks the question, which I'm going to address to Alex for explaining how does repping work. Alex, please explain in general for non-enveloped audience, how does it work? And then I'll turn to guys to deep dive more in the value that Envelop brings to their Envelop proposition. So Alex, please explain how does repping work.
So in general, it works when we had a case where we got original NFT, it could be 721 or 1155, and then we need to apply additional functionality for such an NFT about collection of intrinsic value transactionally or distributing royalties, which also are on chain and multi ones. Also, we can apply different locks on time, on events, and some out-world events when we apply oracles. All this can be programmed in wrapping a kind of smart shield, which gives a new behavior to NFT. And also inside we can put different assets. It could be fungible, non-fungible tokens. In further releases, we added the ability that we don't even need an NFT itself, original one. If we just want to deal with assets and liquidity, we just can put inside any liquidity. It could be your C20 tokens or any other token of compatible format, and we just create a wrapping layer around these assets, and also we can apply all the settings to it, and thus we can execute all the cases about royalties, about the gamify, also cross-chain transfers without bridges, and many other stuff. Especially, I think guys from NFTA will be create much more interesting use cases.
Well, let me clarify one thing, Tristan. You said the word seigniorage, and I am being an economist. I belong to the Austrian School of Economics. Menger, Mesos, Hayek, if you do know what is that. And I'm very nervous when somebody from crypto starts talking about money, because I know very well money from the economic and taking my perspective. That's my core point of professional. Are you going to create yet another central bank for minting money? I'm joking about it, but nevertheless, seigniorage means printing money and creating value like out of nothing, like governments do. Do you aim to do that, or?
That is a really awesome question. That's actually precisely what we do aim to do. This is where a lot of previous attempts have, they've tried and failed. They've had their little pump and dumps because there was nothing substantial to actually back them. So, currently what we do have a series of different NFT collections. One called Poseidon, where we have an institutional trader that's actively trading a treasury that's from the mint raise, and the design of that, for example, is to purchase back and distribute the share token Prometheus. So we have that, and then we're thinking about how we can move forward with Envelop. So the more we can offer basically a wrapped NFT launchpad on Andromeda, whereby the more projects that utilize it to either release a new token or to support the liquidity for their existing tokens, that the fees that are abstracted from unwrapping go portion back to buying back the actual Peak token to apply that buy pressure on the peg to create a bit more sustainability within the protocol as well. We have other use cases for the token as well, such as you can use the Peak token to go and purchase gift cards. So you could purchase Peak if you wanted to, and any gift cards that are available in your country, you can go and purchase. So in Australia, for example, and this is a really cool way to think about it with these protocols, because often what happens is you harvest your rewards and then you dump it, but instead people can harvest their rewards and go, oh, I might go buy a new TV from JB Hi-Fi, which is like an Australian electronics provider. Or, oh, well, I might go do some grocery shopping. I might go buy like a $200 supermarket gift card. So these different reasons to purchase the token is what we think you actually need when it comes to seigniorage, because it's sort of getting back to what you're talking about. It's having demand. Like if there's not demand for the token or the asset, then of course you're just going to inflate the supply. Value can't keep up with the supply. And then, you're effectively just looking at like perpetual downside. So yeah, we're looking at doing that with Envelop in a number of different ways in terms of, like I said, the wrapped NFT launchpad. I think Alex just mentioned, Dimitri just mentioned the secondary market royalties when you're trading wrapped NFTs. So a great portion of that will go back to purchasing the algo peg asset, which supports the seigniorage process there, as well as, you know, compounding back into the shared collateral contract, which is the fundamental value proposition of Envelop, in that, you know, you go ahead and you trade on the market, and this value that accumulates through fee collection is collected in the shared collateral pool for all those that own an NFT that have a stake in that collateral pool. So yeah, we're looking at a number of different ways in which we can sort of bring that value, you know, back into the protocol in order to sustain the process. So that does come with demand. So that's where, as a protocol of Peak, we're looking to basically become the centerpiece of the Andromeda ecosystem within that DApp, whereby we're supporting all these different projects. We're able to, you know, encourage secondary market exchanges. So we're accumulating their token. We're using Envelop's technology again. So it's not just us going, oh, thanks for your tokens, and then, you know, dumping it into the protocol. We're going, okay, using the time lock features to give a bit more confidence, not only to those in the Peak Finance ecosystem, but more broadly and beyond that as well.
Well, let me give a quotation from you, from our press release on our Medium. Looking at the NFT market, significant decline in volume, we can begin to anticipate that the era of speculation is coming to an end. Businesses and individuals are quickly coming around to the fact that, like tokens, non-speculative usage is what delivers true value to investors. I love this phrase. How do you, let me elaborate this thesis. How do you think, why are we so disappointed with searching for the value of NFTs for the previous 2 years? And how Envelop exactly will help your Peak Finance NFT Apparel to bring more value to your NFTs, which are being used in your scheme? Or by the other ways, how Envelop will increase the valueness which Peak Finance and NFT Apparel have already brought to the Web3 ecosystem?
Absolutely, because I guess, you know, we've all sort of experienced the recent, since at least 2020, the NFT market. So I guess in order to answer your question, I could do it very broadly in the sense that we've recognized projects, you know, like cypherpunks, like BayC. So they share some characteristics. They share a lot. They effectively had a lot of hype and a lot of marketing behind them. They had a team that was able to sort of, well, I guess, you know, promise a lot of things that they were going to do, but the way in which they were going to actually pursue it was not particularly clear. And that comes from an underlying feature of when you go and try to program an NFT at Genesis to do a particular task. So let's look at, say, gaming NFTs as a really good example. So a gaming NFT, you could argue, is non-speculative because it has a use case within a particular digital environment. However, if you've gone ahead and coded in particular functions, like hard coded these functions, it's hard to get the yolk back inside the egg. So when you look at something like Envelop, we go, well, cool. We don't care if it's a 721 1155. It's a reverse compatible protocol. So you're able to, despite the current state of the NFT, you're able to then, you know, wrap it at Envelop and then apply a particular function to that NFT. So that's where it really opens up a whole world for us to explore in Peak and NFTA in terms of going, okay, you can take something that was previously speculative and that was the basis of its value, and then you can stake it within, rather you can wrap it within Envelop, apply collateral, program what the nature and what it happens to that collateral. You can look towards things like metaverses. Ben mentioned it before. So you purchase a shirt in the real world, you get printed an NFT of that shirt. You then wrap it in a protocol that effectively applies the 3D compatibility it needs to then go into a particular metaverse. So that's where we're able to then branch out and form partnerships there as well. So lots of different things that we can do. I guess, you know, in terms of the transition from speculative to non-speculative, I mean, we look at, say, even ERC20 tokens. We've seen enough of these, you know, these mega pumps and then subsequent dumps to go, okay, there was either a bit of a bubble or there was, you know, the 2017, 2018 bull run is a really good example, whereby everyone was buying into these ICOs, they were promising the moon, and then the market just sort of, the bubble popped, and there was that collective realization like, okay, they're promising things that don't currently exist. So with Envelop and with what we plan to do as well, Envelop is already there. It's already a public utility protocol. So we can take NFTs from all different, you know, walks of life, if you want to call it that. And then what we can do is have targeted functions, because Envelop is very general use. Like I said, it's the layer, like if we're the layer 2, they're layer 1. So we very much derive our core functions from Envelop, and then we can pursue things like wrapping into the metaverse, programming collateral to execute particular like trade strategies with the ERC20s as underlying collateral, which is a lot to do with NFTA and what we're looking to do there. And then also was mentioned earlier with the use of, by Alex, was the use of oracles, where you can change the behavior of the actual NFT based on what sort of APIs you're pulling and what your NFT is designed to respond to. So that's where we look at it, even just with just those handful of functions, because I could talk about it all day. It gets me really excited, but yeah, like with those core functions, effectively, there's almost an infinite amount of things that can be done with it. And that's probably what we find most exciting about not only Envelop, but what we're seeking to also do going forward.
Well, I'll be passionate. It's not secret that Envelop has some competitors. It is not the unique solution on the market. Were you choosing from competitors this record solution, or you found the Envelop solution as unique for your case? What would be the answer?
Just purely that it has the basic fundamentals of what we need to then program on top of it. So, you know, we're not effectively just taking Envelop as it is. You know, we're taking it as, like I said, it's basically our layer 1, and on top we can then pursue particular applications and use cases while still leveraging, you know, Envelop effectively as our layer 1. So when it comes to competitors, they do tend to sort of get themselves stuck in a bit of a, what would you say, they get sort of stuck down a particular funnel. It's you know, like the protocol itself, Envelop, is you know, I know I'm preaching, you guys already know it, but the protocol, you know, you can rock up, you can wrap an NFT, you can unwrap it, and you can program it that you don't pay anything other than the gas fees. Whereas you've got these other particular protocols that have found their lane and they're sticking to their lane. That tends to be what we found from our sort of research and looking around, you know, and particularly also looking at existing partners with Envelop, which are doing something very similar in that they're leveraging Envelop as a general use protocol, and then they're able to build specific use cases and pick their lane and stick to their lane. I hope that answers your question, but that's the way that we sort of look at it in terms of what we're seeking to do going forward with Peak and NFTA.
Well, Alex, let me ask you, how specific is this partnership with Peak Finance and NFT Apparel for Envelop? Why does it matter for Envelop evolution and Envelop roadmap?
So, very important, because now we are moving to L2 solution, and it's nice because our strategy seems to be right. So when we try to cooperate and collaborate with teams who develop the products, new chains, because we are not so many in our team, just 13 people to execute everything, it's impossible. And because guys also got real nice use cases, which we haven't previously executed. And I think together combination of all two solutions, their new use cases, their user base, and so we'll give a nice boost to our technology and to the whole ecosystem. And now we are glad to see that now more and more people not only understand that NFT is a functional thing, but do and apply already made solutions instead of creating something new and losing time. So guys are moving the right page, and they just saved a year and a half for themselves.
Well, let's talk about future, guys. What to expect from the partnership in the upcoming, let's say, 3 or 6 months? And in general, what is the future, the nearest future of Peak Finance and NFT Apparel? So Tristan and Ben, give us your vision, what to expect from you regarding partnership and regardless of partnership, regarding all your business in the upcoming 3. I see a lot of fans of you now, a lot of fans of Peak are now in our live chat. Thank you guys, thank you for joining, and you have a very warm and community that loves you. They love Tristan. Give some compliments to. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your future, guys.
Absolutely. So, and again, hey, P-Cores, love you guys too. So look, at this stage, we're looking at Andromeda as effectively our testing ground. So we're seeking to basically build, bring across these envelope functions onto Andromeda, like Alex was talking about earlier as well, and being able to pick that target use case. So our first use case will be to actually just implement the wrapping with a targeted NFT, which is our Peking Ducks NFTs, as the first ones off the bat. So what we're seeking to do there is encourage users to apply a time lock onto those NFTs, get the underlying collateral in there. So once they hit particular milestones on the collateral, they're able to apply a multiplier. So we spoke about, the summit and how it prints emissions when it's above peg. So effectively, once we're able to get above peg, then users with, say, X amount of thousands of LP locked in the wrapped NFT, say it's locked for 6 months, they might get twice the amount of emissions for the amount of the Prometheus token they have staked in the summit. So it's effectively just multiplying what they're able to sort of earn from the emissions. So that's our first step. And then our second step is to go towards giving the summit a bit of a facelift. So initially that's just to get the Peking Ducks to work with it. But then what also ties in is in the third function, and I mentioned earlier, is as a wrapped NFT launch pad, because there you may have other projects on Andromeda, and there's some awesome projects on there, like Hermes, Tethys, NetSwap. They're just a handful of really great projects, and they may wish to seek a particular function such as NFT boosting themselves. But, a particular folly through the NFT staking as it exists today, without pursuing like a collateral basis, is that, okay, cool, stake your NFTs, get some tokens, but that NFT has kind of like, it has a purely speculative value in the sense that you got it for what you minted for, or you bought it off the secondary market, but there's nothing else beyond that to sort of attribute value. So getting them to actually lock collateral is good, and is good for the health of the project that decides to actually utilize our wrapped NFTs in order for them to go and pursue functions like boosted emissions. So NetSwap has farms they might want to, I believe it's called Weibo. Someone in the chat might be kind enough to correct me, but they had a series of NFTs they're seeking to release. So, something that may be viable, and I'm not saying this is what's happening, guys, I'll go and have a chat with them, but they may go, well, let's get it. We want to get some NFT staking in. My reply would be, cool, well, what's actually backing those NFTs being staked? So that's where like us being able to leverage Envelop, target that particular use case where we can facilitate that for particular projects on Andromeda, will bring value, lock it into the ecosystem, gives investors a bit more confidence too, because then you can look at the landscape. You go, oh, okay, there's like a bunch of different wrapped NFTs and none of them are unlocking for, say, the next 6 months or something to that effect. And based on how, the redemptions of the actual trading. So this is something we really love about, using wrapped NFTs as like a launch pad, right? Because, there's a lot of times whereby you might buy some seed tokens to a particular project and you're sort of stuck in this, you're stuck in this lock for 12 months or whatever the case may be. Your circumstances might change. You might go, okay, well, look, I kind of needed like, a bit of money or something to that effect, but other people might want to actually purchase your vesting rights from you. So they may actually want to, just want to like do an over-the-counter trade. And by doing that, it fixes obviously two problems. You're not stuck with seed tokens that you purchase and maybe you couldn't afford. And then the second problem is that it's OTC through the wrapped NFT. So it doesn't actually impact the market value of the asset that you're seeking to offload. So it's a really powerful tool for seed tokens and launch pads and the like. So that's like the next sort of phase we're looking at for the Andromeda ecosystem. The manner in which we go and pursue different partnerships is what will be ongoing. But after that point, this is when we take it over to NFTA, and NFTA is where we want to effectively just, Andromeda is where we test it out. We tinker with some functions, get our NFT staking sorted in the summit, help other projects with their NFT staking, and getting their NFTs wrapped with their collateral underneath it. And then, of course, how Peak benefits from that is that we apply fees at unwrapping. So we will not apply a fee at wrap. it'd be unwrapping. So, you know, after the more secondary market activity that takes place, it grows the collateral pool. So, you know, of course, there is always risks, right, guys? Like, we're not silly. But if there's enough sort of trade activity on a wrapped NFT, it grows the collateral pool, then effectively the person holding that wrapped NFT will be able to redeem more than what was provided as the initial collateral pro rata with the tokens. And not just the tokens too, like Alex touched on, you know, you could lock up 721s, 1155s, you know, you name it. So that's what we're seeking to do with the Peak and the Andromeda side. And then we take it over to the NFTA side, where I'll actually invite Ben to step in here and tell a little bit about what we want to do with NFTA in terms of the nature in which we want to program collateral to do clever things, as well as some oracles.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the very next thing, obviously, with NFTA is going to be our MVP deployment. So, you know, that's obviously we're aiming for that before the end of the year. Envelop, sorry, is going to obviously play a key part in that as well. So, wrapping these NFTs when staked is going to enable people to actually, you know, assign a value more or less to what their digital artwork is actually worth. You know, if something's making sales, if people are using this particular piece of art, you know, and the redistribution of profits is coming back into this wrap contract, people are actually able to see that this NFT has, you know, value outside of a resale market. So, you know, we're able to assign a monetization aspect to these digital artworks and whatnot. But we're also doing a ton of other stuff outside of the NFT apparel. You know, one thing that we're looking at doing, as Tristan just mentioned, comes around our minting as a service ecosystem. So when we, you know, this ecosystem that is zero code deployments of minting dApps of these NFT collections, we're going to enable rapid mint, which means that anyone can come in, create a collection, and when someone mints that NFT, it's automatically wrapped. And we are going to design specific treasuries around these wrapped collections, building in, you know, using your Oracle services as well, you know, building in investment strategies into these wrapped NFT collections. There's a lot of different things, moving parts that we're planning on doing with Envelop and NFTA moving forward. Obviously, we don't want to give away all our secrets just yet, but yeah, look, there's a lot to come. And really the MVP is just a start. There's you know, there's no end to what we plan on doing with wrapped contracts.
Yeah, and I'll just add on, because Alex said before, you know, and I promise I will shut up after that, but it's so true that, you know, with wrapping, it really is just infinite the amount of things that you can do with it, and the avenues that we're taking, we feel like we could basically be building for the next 10 years, like, and we still wouldn't be done, and there would still be another 100,000 things that you could do with NFTs in the space. I just want to put that out there, but I find that really exciting.
And absolutely. And the chains that we're on currently as well, that's just the start. You know, we're currently in talks with new L2s that are coming out, you know, in this next year. They're launching their chains, their projects. You know, we're constantly trying to reach out to these new chains and bringing you guys along, you know, you're wrapping along with us as we deploy our projects onto these new emerging chains is going to be, you know, key to both of our ecosystem, the partnerships and stuff as well. So it's not just Andromeda that we plan to deploy Envelop on and, you know, bring your stuff, wrapping stuff to their chain. You know, we plan on doing it to as many chains as we can as we continue to scale our ecosystems.
Well, I think we have covered all the major things regarding the partnership and the values that Envelop and Peak and NFT Apparel bring to the Web3 ecosystem. We are evolving. We are in the end of 2022. 2 years ago, we talked about selling JPEGs, and now we're talking about collateral utility NFT, and that's a very good shift towards the utility of NFTs, because NFT is a unique tool. It may represent anything unique in a digital and a physical world. I'm pretty excited of all that. How do you see, guys, the future of Web3 in a whole and NFT in particular in, let's say, upcoming 1 to 3 years? What events we will see inevitable in the space?
So I definitely think that that NFTs are still at the beginning of their adoption curve. I think the last that I'd looked, I believe it was only 4% of Ethereum addresses actually hold a NFT. So there's still a lot of room for adoption there. And I'm very much of the thesis, as I mentioned earlier, that I think that there will come a time where people will just be purchasing NFTs over ERC20s. And when you have wrapped NFTs that actually contain ERC20s that, you know, whereby a user could effectively have a credit card and purchase a pre-existing portfolio, you know, they might say, rock up and go, okay, I want to buy like 60% Bitcoin, 40% Ethereum or something. So rather than actually going to an exchange to obtain those tokens, they'll just go and use their credit card or something to that effect and just purchase the NFT outright. And then they could, you know, if there's a time lock applied, whatever the actual parameters of that are, they will own the underlying assets. So that's where I'm very much subscribed to the thesis that at least in the next 3 years, purchasing NFTs will be the primary way in which people will continue to access and where they'll continue to have adoption. And again, our third A, and then the applications and the things we'll build into that is seemingly endless. So that's something where I think I see the future of sort of NFTs going.
Ben, give us your vision. Add something.
Yeah, look, I'd just caveat what Tristan said, and I think the collectibles and the digital artworks, I think the era of people creating a collection, flipping it for $100,000, you know, dollars for no apparent reason, I think that era is dead. I don't think that's going to come back. What I do think is going to be the future for NFTs is projects that supply utility either via their own NFT collection or supply utility to these other collections that haven't figured out that they need to have their own utility just yet. So, you know, that's exactly what we're trying to do in the space is, you know, provide these ecosystems of utility, which is what you guys are doing obviously as well with the, you know, with the wrapping and whatnot. So I think that is sort of where it needs to go logically, because it's an unsustainable ecosystem, you know, to have these CryptoPunks or Bored Apes coming out every second day of the week and somehow or another going from $1 to $100,000 and then back down to $20,000 the next day sort of thing. It just, you know, it's just unsustainable. And I don't think it's going to continue in the next bull run for NFTs. But I do think NFTs have a massive future because there is just so much that you can build with them outside of just having these silly collectibles or digital artworks. And that's not saying that they aren't going to keep happening, because I do foresee there's going to be, you know, there's going to be hype NFTs, right? There's always going to be hype NFTs that have no utility behind them just because, I don't know, Elon tweets it or something like that. But, you know, outside of that, I think that the only reason anyone is going to start making digital artwork NFTs or these collectible NFTs is to monetize them, because I don't think you're going to get the flip market the same that we did last time, and monetizing is the only way that you're going to actually make profit from these. So building a steady income from a digital asset, using it for, you know, web design, using it for whatever you want to do, other people using it for you, using the redistribution rights for that. That's where the future is creating a, you know, a money ecosystem for these assets while you own them, rather than just hoping someone buys it off you one day.
Yeah, and I mean, just to really quickly segue in, because I guess the question was on Web3 and in terms of, like, you know, businesses coming on and businesses onboarding, you know. So, you know, you mentioned that, like, just then that, you know, the era of speculation, you know, there will be exceptions to the rules, but that's more or less over. There needs to be a reason for it. And I think branding is a really powerful reason. So, you know, you have people with really large subscriber bases, or, you know, a large follower, they've got a lot of followers basically, and NFTs is a means of membership to those communities. I think that will continue. And I think that will then branch out to different brands, which is something that we look at, we say with NFT Apparel, where we go, okay, well, these big brands want to basically create NFTs of their collection. Say that they have a summer collection of apparel or something, and then soon as summer's over, well, what happens to those items? Then, you know, they can resell it to people that actually like those particular items in a particular collection, spring 2021, and then they can start producing merchandise with it. And also having NFTs as proof of membership in a particular business. So, you know, in terms of just even basic HR, like through soulbound tokens and the like, you know, that you hire someone, and when you hire them, you give them an NFT, and that NFT gives them access to particular, you know, functions within a business. And this is something that I believe, say, you know, Matisse Andromeda, for example, is looking at doing something to that effect. So, you know, the the actual, say, payment for the job. You're getting paid in real time. It's like the summit when it prints. When you go there and you press harvest, you take what's available. Being paid as an employee could effectively be a very similar sort of proposition, whereby their wage will accumulate in real time based on their work output, and then they can come along and harvest that at any point. But the only person that can harvest it is the one that holds this NFT or this soul-bound NFT. So NFTs will be a means by which, like, it's basically going to be like your employee card. That's very much how we see, I guess, the future of NFTs in the Web3 space.
Well, in search of utility of NFTs, the concept of putting ability to put a collateral each side, which Envelop has been building, is extremely important for all the Web3 space. And Alex, let me address a question to you. How do you see, in short, the future of Web3 and NFT in 3 years?
So I think maybe we'll could even shift from NFT to some other naming for these assets, because the new class of programmable digital assets could have some more exact naming, but definitely it is here, and now it's just emerging, and we see that there are plenty of use cases like in Web3, like any use case about games, metaverse, and all other stuff which is in digital space. And now we see that there are more and more cases about real world assets, so there we'll see a combination, and as well it will be maybe in some mixed reality happening. So programmable digital assets are here to stay and to develop more and more.
Well, yes, we have almost come to the end. This has been the warmest AMA we ever done on our YouTube channel, because your community of peakers are extremely awesome. I love you guys, really, really extremely awesome. And they love you too. What are your secrets of community management? How to follow, how to join, how to become another great peaker? What to do?
Absolutely. Hey, get amongst it with the Peakers. We're a really supportive community, as you guys have sort of just touched on. We the seniorage, as you know, Eugene, seniorage is not a very simple concept to just wrap your head around, but I feel as if though, and if you can, even as a beginner, if you can understand seniorage, even as a DeFi product, like in the realms of a DeFi protocol, then you can handle just about anything in DeFi. So everyone in our community is super switched on, always willing to help. So jump into our Telegram for Peak. We've of course got our Discord. You can find that of course on our Twitter as well. And then for NFTA, we're primarily based on Twitter and Discord now. So that's the ways that you can find us, but we're absolutely hustling in that Peak Finance chat, and anyone that wants to, learn more about what we're up to and how to get involved. Or even if you just want to come and just have a chat, we've all been in there having a laugh about the FTX meltdown, because if you don't laugh, you cry. So, we've been in there chatting about that. It's a very general support community. And of course, you want to learn more, just get in there and we'll all be more than happy to give you a hand.
Absolutely. So now it's finally a call to action time. Do you have anything to add? Something important we didn't say before, which is call to actions, final thoughts, what to do, next steps, and recommendations, advisors. What do you want to say? Your final words. So let's start with Tristan.
I suppose, there's been a lot of fear in the market lately, and for good reason. It seems as if though, there is some engineered sort of collapse going on with the whole FTX situation. And, many have their different theories, but, and many of you know that I actually think that this is designed to make sure that to diminish confidence in the ecosystem. My belief is that that's not going to do entirely what it was designed to do, that is be able to usher in this wave of regulation that's going to completely cripple innovation. So I think as long as you're in with a project that will just continue to, it doesn't even have to be us. It doesn't have to be, Peak NFTA or Envelop, but you just need to be there alongside a project that is innovative. They're continuing to build. They see the headwinds and they understand it. And they just continue to push forward. So I think that's something just for everyone to consider. I think that's like, as it stands, middle of November, after everything we've just sort of all experienced in the last week. I think just maintaining that that faith, continue doing your research, continue learning about new projects, and just continue seeking out innovation, because at the end of the day, like we're touching on, like, this isn't going to stop. Like NFT, not just NFTs, but even just digital assets as a means of facilitating so many different aspects and disrupting just about every single sector of just about any economy, particular economy you can think of. Blockchain tech will be there. NFTs, or like Alex said, maybe renamed into something else. They're going to play a role in it. So don't lose the faith, guys. Hang on in there. And we're looking forward to having you alongside us as we continue down our path, to bringing, some utility into the ecosystem.
Amazing. Ben, your final thoughts, final words, call to actions.
Yeah, look, I think Tristan said it absolutely perfectly. Everyone just keep playing it safe, keep doing your research, keep your head in the game, but don't take any silly risks. And NFTA is going to keep building, Peak's going to keep building. We're always going to keep building in the background. So come join us in our communities, check out what we're doing. Our faces are there. We're the most doxed community I think that's ever been doxed. We're as open as can be. We're registered companies. We're doing everything above board so that we can provide that bit of peace of mind to all our communities as well. So really just come join us, come have a good time, and check out what we're up to, because we've got a lot of cool shit happening in the next 2 to 6 months. Lots of MVPs, lots of new developments, lots of stuff that's never been done before. So come join us.
Absolutely. So, Alex, your final words, final thoughts, and call to actions to our audience.
So my final idea, it's maybe more dedicated to the projects who are in crypto and developers. So don't freeze, don't be scared about the situation. It's always happening. It's crypto, and it's normal to rise 2x, then fall triple X. And so it always happens, and it doesn't even matter. So it's been written, so Bitcoin blocks are being issued every day, so everybody moves. So just don't read the news, go straight, and don't read some shitty bloggers and all other hype guys.
And we didn't say, do not break the main rule of crypto world, not your keys, not your coins. You do remember what does it mean. Thank you very much, gentlemen. So Tristan Hasselwood and Ben Guillot, the co-founders of Peak Finance DAO and NFT Apparel, were our guests today. We are Envelop. Alex Shidagoo, the co-founder CEO. I'm Eugene, the media house. Please join us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We deliver unique content on a weekly basis, aiming with our partners, podcasts, different other things. Join our Telegram chats, be a part of our Medium. So separate thank for warmest Peakers community. I've never seen such warm community, and you guys rocking. I fell in love with you, really. So I hope we will see you guys on the next AMAs, because it's not a problem to do AMAs, and somebody wishes to have a 24 hours lasting long AMA, because they believe that Tristan would keep it out. No problem for Tristan for 24 hours.
Come on, you guys. Yeah, no, it's true.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
Bye. So I think we are finishing our live stream.